Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. So, I am about to do the last clip. The Tucker Carlson put out a statement where he confirms he doesn't trust the FBI. Sort of walks back some of the things he said on Theo Vaughn, and he was talking about on Theo Vaughn about how he doesn't know very much about this story, and why the fuck wouldn't he know what's going on with Charlie Kirk, his supposed friend? Like, why wouldn't he investigate that? Why wouldn't he do multiple shows on that, like Candace Owens is doing, right? Well, that's all silly. Um, my wife just texted me and said "finally" is misspelled. That just came in. So, on my last video. So, what I was going to do is I was going to put this voiceover before that. It was going to be the last clip. I think the last clip of this video, as I see it now. I get into the the Erica Kirk interview where she slams conspiracy theorists and she gets all self-righteous and she plays her widow and her children's victim card thing that she did, right? But what I want to say here is essential to the general point of this channel. There's the spiritual point where only spirituality can save this world, which means the divinity within you and everybody connecting to that divinity can only change people. I mean, it's the only thing that can change people, because people don't want to change. I've been in the change business for years, and I don't count on people changing. People might change their behaviors, but don't change who they are. They'll change they'll adapt and change their behaviors because they're being forced to, based in circumstances, but they won't change who they are and why they do the things they do. They'll just repress them, or they'll just stop them for a little bit and then go back to their compulsive behavior, right? And so changing human beings is the hardest thing. And I mean, changing yourself. Like, you can't change other people, but changing yourself, right? And that the system can't be saved or changed because people suck. Like, the people suck, and, all of us, and we're all creating the system. And you can't change the system unless people are willing to change themselves, and they're not willing to do that. So that's my central point, and I'm fucking right as you could be about all that stuff, right? But these other people all pretend that you can change the system. And so this thing with Tucker Carlson at the end, and then everybody who's involved with this, who believes that there is a way to take on the deep state and all this bullshit that people believe, think about this. So you had JFK was assassinated in Texas, and the majority of Americans trusted the news. They trusted Walter Cronkite. They believed the moon landing was real. They were hypnotized by TV, and they believed in the official story. And the Democrats and the Republicans weren't that far off. I mean, this was the radical 60s and these things. And there was the hippie movement that didn't trust things. The hippie movement was, some of the original truthers came out of the hippie movement. But for the most part, people trusted the official story. And people didn't buy into the JFK assassination, right? But since that time, there's been all these different media growths, the cable news network, and then ultimately the internet and YouTubes and all these other things, all these other places where people are able to verbalize their opinions. And these doubts in the government have gone across the internet, not just to disgruntled people, not to radical right wing, or radical left wing people, but pretty much everybody has doubts in the official story. A few years back, 10 years ago, was 60% of people doubted the official story of JFK assassination. 60%, right? And so, on top of that, everybody's got a video camera that they carry around with them. And Google and these search engines, and so much information, so much data out there. And so many watchful, suspicious eyes that are out there, right? And with that, they did the exact same thing with Charlie Kirk, saying it's a lone crazy gunman. The official story doesn't make sense whatsoever. And the majority of his followers and many people don't believe it. And yet they're going to get away with it. And so that shows you the system has not fucking changed. And so there are people who want to move on from this story, the Charlie Kirk thing. I have viewers who are like, why are you still covering this? Because people have lost interest in it. But it's the number one story of 2025 because it involves Trump. It means Trump is compromised. It means Trump's government and his people at the FBI and Kash Patel and these other people are who, Tucker Carlson's going to say those guys are great, like that piece of shit, involves the alternative media, because that's what Charlie Kirk was. It involves religion. It involves Israel in a big way. All these powerful players involves foreign governments and Charlie Kirk's whole, whatever thing he was doing. It involves pretty much everything that the 2025, the things that stood out in 2025 culminated in Charlie Kirk's assassination. And with all these people watching it and all these people who are suspicious of the government and all the available tools at their disposal, they're still fucking going to get away with this bullshit story. Whatever the real story is, you're never going to know what it is. At the same time, Jeffrey Epstein, the majority of people, now the Democrats are all about Jeffrey Epstein. And the Republicans have been all about Jeffrey Epstein since, the beginning. The only person who's not is Trump. And he shut that shit down, right? And so the truth never fucking comes out and there's no accountability. And I knew this fucking many, many years ago. And I knew that there was only one way to change this is people connected to divinity within them. And not that I give a shit about being right. I mean, I used to care about, who cares, right? Like, who cares if I'm right and everyone else is wrong, right? What difference does that make? Like, what do I get, a fucking badge of honor, right? How does that make my life any better, right? Like, I used to care about it. Now I don't because, like, in the sense of being right, it's not important. But in the sense of being right, in terms of people who are listening to information out there, it's important. And, the truth is available to people even if they don't want to hear it. And the simple truth is that we have to change. Because even with all the tools at our disposal, nothing has changed, right? Since the Kennedy assassination, where most people bought the official story and there was no reference point for most people to doubt the official story. And now that has completely blown up and they're still doing the same shit. Just like when Trump did this fake assassination attempt with the ketchup gate, which is so obviously fake, and he's getting away with that. And no one's even questioning that. No one in the official story. None of these so-called truth tellers, right? And all these people are saying, yeah, we can fix the system. Fuck you, right? Like your system's getting worse. And there's less and less accountability and less truth, even though there's so many people out there claiming to tell the truth, out there giving their independent opinion. There's just more and more bullshit and less truth and less accountability. We're going in the wrong fucking direction, right? And everyone should be aware of it. So with that in mind, let's get into it here. Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. It is Thursday, right? Thursday, December 11th. Okay, so I have this video up, which, oh, my dogs, why are they barking? Come on, dogs, don't bark. Come on, you guys. All right, one of them's got fleas, possibly. It had some fleas, so, like, whatever. They find dead animals in the pasture or something, whatever, and fleas. So they're not in here, and then they bark. Anyways, so I have a video that's already up. It's unlisted, and that's going to be probably my next video, which it's a really kind, to me, a funny video. I think almost all of it's kind of jokey and funny. But this Erica Franze, Candace Owens thing, and now involving Tucker Carlson, has blown up a bit, right? So I watched the whole video here. This is the one interview I didn't see. It was the most important one. When I looked up Fox News interviews with Erica J. Franze, Kirk, Erica Shekels, Kirk, this didn't come up, right? And so I watched the whole thing last night. And let's get into it. It's an extension of my last video. I put that video up really late. It's already got a lot of views because, this thing is coming to a head a little bit here. And then it'll just, nothing will happen and it'll just go away because that's what happens. But here, let's start here.
With Erica Kirk sharing her journey with America and the world, we are grateful at Fox to have her here to shine a light on healing as we all miss and mourn the loss of her beloved Charlie Kirk. Not all of her journey has been without, well, hate, conspiracies,
and
oddly, speculation about where her husband is buried. Now, for the first time, Erica, who's with me now, addresses all of it from the perspective.
Okay, so this, look at her coming in, right? Now, I always said that she has this hardness inside her. She has these cold, dead eyes. And, some of the things she says, I'm aware of the Christian, I know I have knowledge about the Christian views about such things. She reminds me of my ex in different ways. They look a little, not identical, but very similar. My ex was abused by her mom and dad and went to an Ivy League school, came from wealth or whatever it is. And so there's similarities there in terms of all of it. And the victim consciousness is part of it. And here is where it comes out, the victim consciousness. But she comes in hot, right? She's got this red shirtless red thing on. So she's been wearing black and white since her husband died. She's either wearing black, white, or both. Like when she wore those black leather pants and a white top. And, I usually don't notice clothes, but for her it was mourning. Like she was in this mourning wear where it was either black or white, and most of it was inappropriate. It wasn't drab. Like when you're mourning, it should be drab, right? It should be like, not like you're dressing up for a big social situation, where you're, walking the red carpet kind of thing. And so, when was she going to stop crying? And when was she going to wear anything but black or white? But she's wearing red, which she's coming in. Look, she's got a fierce look on. And why, right? Why is this fierce look coming in here? Because it's staged. Like she's been here all day. And she's talked about forgiveness. And we'll get into that in a moment. Like that's some of the things she's talked about, forgiving the what she called the assassin or the murderer or whatever it was, right? Which, most people who are in her fan base don't believe the official story. So that's problematic. And she's coming in hot at those people.
Of a grieving widow, a mom, and a battle-tested American.
She's battle-tested. Look it. So she's coming in. She's got the black and white on. And this was like, all right, who are we going to have her go after the conspiracy theorists with? Like, this is all contrived bullshit at Fox, which is stupid because, Fox is the only network. I mean, there's those other Newsmax and those other smaller ones. But of the three big cable networks, Fox News is the one that would pander to the Charlie Kirk audience. But many of those people are so-called conspiracy theorists, right? They're the people that propped up this organization. I mean, other than, Zionists in Israel. And they're the people that are, they're going to be your audience and who you have influence over. She's got the fucking book right here. Stop in the name of God, right? But it just says stop God because in the name is like, very small.
Good to see you again today. Talk to me about this part of the conspiracies that are out there, this disturbing part that people are trying to guess.
So, like, disturbing about, right? What's disturbing about it?
Where Charlie is.
Can I have one thing?
So this is like so staged, right? So this is her. She's been there all day pitching her books. She's had 4 appearances now, at least that I know. That there might be more. She's been in the Fox News place here all day, appearing here, pitching her dead husband's book, right? Which is fucked. He didn't get that kind of love. You get on one show to sell your shit, right? This is like the fucking Home Shopping Network for this crappy book. Like this whole day is devoted about her, to her. And they were going to address the Candace Owens thing. And, this fierceness that she's demonstrated, I get 1 day. Did I get 1 day?
Can I have one thing? Can my children have one thing?
Oh, poor little Erica only got $2.5 million from donations directly to her. And apparently there was this thing that happened in Mar-a-Lago. One of my viewers left me a comment that they had $10,000 a plate dinners over there or whatever it was. And they walked away with 40 mil, according to Candace Owens. So I don't know how big a place this was, but I don't even know why they're donating to her. And this is probably the payoff. Like I always say, she had to be compromised. They had to get the widow. You couldn't do the Charlie Kirk thing without her victim consciousness. Whenever there's one of these events, there's outrage and victim consciousness. When she got up and said, the cries of this grieving widow will be heard throughout the world, right? That whole shit that she did. All that fake acting, fake grieving, fake bullshit that she did, right? So they have to get her. So if this isn't if the official story isn't true, and, who knows what the real story is. Like I said, we'll never get the real story. You guys will think it's one thing. I'll think it's something else. Everyone will have, everyone has their own theory. That's how these things always work, right? And then people will fight over these stupid theories that they can't prove. No, he's still alive. He's a hologram. Yeah, okay. You're the one guy who knows, right? And it's silly to even try to know. Who gives a shit? Like, doesn't matter. I didn't even know who this guy was before he died. So why should I care about this thing in terms of the official story? What is important is how this affects the show and the people watching the show, all of us. Like how this thing affects us, right? How this affects America, and this does affect everybody in a certain way. Where is this heading? Where are they trying to lead the sheep to? Where's the sheep? How is this going to manipulate the sheep? And what are they going to take away? What are they going to impose on you? Like with martial law and those things, right? Where is this headed? What is this a part of? What's the outcome? Like there's an outcome to these events, right? If the outcome is they take your guns, for one of these events or all of these events, right? Like that's something different. Now, what happens if Americans don't have guns? What happens to you as a collective if there's no weapons, right? Because we've seen what happened to other countries when they take their guns. And I'm not a big gun person. I'm not a Second Amendment person, and I don't believe most people are really mature enough to own something as powerful as a firearm, right? A death maker, right? A death creator. And so, and I'm not talking about hunting, but I'm talking about all of it. But, is the government responsible enough to own the weapons that they own? Of course not. Are they, do they have, good decision making, right? Do they care about people, places, things, with their weapons of mass destruction? So anyways, there's an outcome. And the outcome is always generated around the victim, right? And she's the biggest victim here. She lost her husband, and here it comes, right? So she hasn't used her victim card yet. She's forgiven the killer, right? The single guy, and we'll get to Tucker Carlson, who says that he doesn't believe in the single shooter thing, because that's a part of this thing. And and then he came out and gave a statement, but she's got outrage, like she's fucking. Oh, I'm so angry right now. I'm very angry. Look at me angry. Look at me being a victim. And her kids have my kids lost her father, so this is where she's using it against her fucking audience, against conspiracy theorists. She doesn't, she went around saying how she can't let hatred overcome her heart or whatever she said, right? Which is something that I talk about here. In the Sajmark tradition, there's a great, story with the third master of the system. And he was talking, Charji, this guy Charji, and he goes to see Babaji. And as you become more and more, as you go farther and farther along your spiritual journey, this is why people fall. And almost every saint, every spiritual person ends up rising up to a certain level and then falling back down. And it's because their system becomes a vacuum. Like your system becomes clean, and you have a higher level of manifestation of things. And so you have to be more and more disciplined to not let contamination like hatred come into your system. Any of the number of, the things that people dabble in, because a spiritual person, there's so much power. As you go up higher in your spiritual journey, there's more power and there's more, you know, um, it's a clean environment that can easily get contaminated, right? When they try to make the operating room free of germs, right? But the clean, when something comes in, it compromises the whole thing because it's a clean environment, right? It's ready to be it is empowered whatever you put in there, right? So he goes to the second master, his spiritual master, and says, I just hate this guy at work. I just look at him, I fucking hate him. I'm thinking about him all the time, like how much I hate him. And the second master said, "Oh, you got to throw that hate out of your system. It'll contaminate your whole system. You can't let it sit there because your hate is your hate. Your object of your hate is whatever it is, right? It's easy to hate someone like Erica Kirk, and you can just just trigger you or whatever, and then your whole system's filled with hate. And it's not Erica Kirk that feels your hate. I mean, maybe on a spiritual level, you don't even see her, but it affects your job. It affects your family, right? When you get angry, when you're watching something on TV and get angry and you yell at your dog or you yell at your kids or your wife or your husband or whatever it is, right? This is how things trickle down. It affects you and it affects you in your system. You're not happy. You're not enjoying your life. And so she, says something, not that sophisticated, but she says something about that, how she couldn't let hate come into her. That's what the enemy wants, the devil. And it's like stupid. It's not like, it's not as sophisticated as what I just said, but it's similar. But the thing is, now she has her hate. She's got her victim card, and she's playing it. And who is she playing against? Fucking truthers, right? Like, no, not the. I'm not playing it against the guy who shot him in the neck or the real killers who killed my husband. This is why she has to be compromised before they even do something like this, because she's going to go after fucking truthers, and this fucking Fox News hoe is going to be like, these crazy conspiracy theorists, right? Can I get one thing from you crazy conspiracy theorists? Can I get one thing for me and my poor kids, my poor wretched kids and my family? Can I get one thing? Can I just get his body? Can I just have his corpse frozen in my house? His headless corpse. His head is in one, like Michael Jackson. Can I have his head in one bucket and his body in a frozen tank and floating around there for my kids? Can I just get that? Can I just have his fucking body? You guys have to have his body too, right?
Everything was public. We will be building the most beautiful memorial for my husband at Turning Point USA. And
who's funding that thing? Is it Israel? Is it your donors? Who's paying for that fucking thing? Who gives a shit? Like he needs a big fucking memorial. I thought he was supposed to be in heaven. What he needs? Some big fucking ass building on campus where people can memorialize him. Oh, the martyr, Charlie Kirk, the guy who fucking got sheckled up, even that piece of shit who took shekels to promote a genocide and sell out his country and his fans and these college students. That fucking guy gets a memorial for what, right? But can I get one thing for myself? Like, she's talking about his fans, not anybody else. I mean, and the reason there's conspiracies about it is because you didn't have a real funeral, right? And, when people don't believe the official story, you're fucked. And then you come out with bullshit like this. And so this is where she's playing her victim card against truthers, right? People who were fans of his, who they all cultivated these conspiracies. I mean, we just saw Candace Owens in one of my videos. She was showing a clip where Charlie Kirk was talking about JFK assassination, and it's never one guy, and you can't trust the government. And he's saying the same thing about. He's saying it's the thing that everyone is believing about him. And she's like, fucking, she's going to use this card against truthers. And it's so staged, right? She's been friendly and crying and happy. And then she comes on this show outnumbered. And there's, the other hoes aren't there. Outnumbered, I think it's like 4 women and 1 dude. Like, it's a whole thing like this, And it's supposed to be like they're all henpecking the guy. Fucking Fox News. And so, And this is where she's going to use her victim card against truthers. How dare you want a verification? Like, didn't you guys see his dead fucking mannequin hands when I cried all over him the first day? And, they didn't show. Did they show his face? No, it's just his fucking hands. They look like fucking. It was some prosthetics, right? And then she's gonna do this.
Be for the world to see, and it will be spectacular, and it will have basically museum style for our Charlie, for my Charlie.
My Charlie, it's my Charlie. Fuck you guys, it isn't your Charlie. It's my Charlie. You guys can get your own fucking Charlie. It's my Charlie. Fucking my Charlie. Charlie, it's my Charlie. Charlie.
But can
Charlie bit me.
Have one thing? Can my babies have one thing where we hold it sacred, where my husband is laid to rest, where I don't have to be worried about some secular revolutionary coming and destroying my husband's grave while my daughter is sitting there?
Okay, so you don't think somebody's going to follow you, right? You don't think if somebody can just track you to go to the gravesite? I mean, they're probably following you now. It's not like paparazzi following you around or whatever it is, reporters. You don't think that this can easily be figured out? Like, if you buried him, it's somewhere, what, it's going to be on your land? Is there a grave? There's going to be a grave site somewhere. They're not tracking the shit out of you. Like, people aren't going to follow you and figure out where it is, right? The thing about this is, there is, the thing that I do, the gratefulness meditation, the Sajmark meditation, when the heartfulness thing collapsed, I did what I could to salvage the system and the method so other people could experience it. And I made a YouTube channel with these sittings that people can do. And it's, works pretty good, right? But there are things missing that I can't provide. There's a method, the method of the system, which is meditation, transmission, and cleaning, still exists. And that's really great. But the two things that are missing are, in the Sajmark system, there's the master, the method, and the mission. And we're missing the master and the mission. There's no organization. There's these ashrams that were incredible places that were charged with spiritual energy, and it was so easy to connect to God there. Like, God was just, pouring out of the whole area, the building, the meditation hall, and the area, and you'd walk into it and you feel like you're in heaven, right? There's this, divine quality at these ashrams. They were charged with spiritual energy. And then the master was somebody who was an example of what you could become, and that master was the key component, because you could be around somebody who had achieved the spiritual goal of human life. And so that's an unbelievable advantage. And the most important thing, having some experiences with the master and the master overseeing your spiritual journey. And so, it sucks that those two things don't exist anymore. Just the method. And so now people are really responsible to do it, and it's a whole thing. And there are some people who wanted to make me the master, and I'm like, well, I'm not a master. Like, it's not something you can wish. It's not a job. It's not a role that you can just say, hey, I want to do this role, or other people want you to do it. You have to be, like, prepared and chosen. You have to be the right person for it. And, I just don't have that in me, right? It's not there. And, so I had people that were saying this, and they were, like, calling me, a few of them. And I said, you might want me as your master, but who says I want you as my disciple? Because what I've seen in all this, and this goes back all the way to Jesus, and then other people as well, not so bad. Jesus is the biggest example of this. Your followers, your disciples, are more likely to turn on you, at least some of them, your friends, than your enemies, right? I mean, the enemies aren't the one that hurt Jesus, the Romans and the Pharisees. It was Judas, right? Judas was in Jesus' inner circle. And that's why Judas is Judas, right? It's the people that betray you that are your fans. Your fans will eat you alive, right? Your fans, your supporters, like, they're the ones you have to be scared of. It's not your enemies. It's your fans, the people that claim to love you. They're the ones that start yelling, crucify you in a fucking, in a heartbeat. They're the ones that'll really hurt you. They're the ones that'll turn on you. And so, this is what she's saying here. She's upset not at fucking left-wing people that supposedly hate Charlie. She's not upset at the the weird little furry dude that, was the Patsy that killed him. She's upset at his fans. Can I have one thing, you fucking fans? Do you need everything? You need his body, too? You need his fucking corpse, too, you fans? Can I have one thing for me and my family, you fucking conspiracy theorists? Can I have one thing? We're going to build you a memorial so you can come here and donate your money and buy our merch and go to this bullshit memorial for a guy who's really a piece of shit. But, can I have one thing from you, you fucks? Even though I've made everything public and I've done it in a gaudy, fucking embarrassing way. Can I have one thing? Fucking one thing?
Graying. One thing. This is my husband. Yes, he was Charlie Kirk to the world, and I know so many people love my husband, and I am grateful for that. But this is my husband, and I want to be able to have one thing left that is sacred to our family, to my in-laws, to my babies, and to my parents. One thing.
Okay, so the question is he really dead? And is he really buried? And so, did you cremate him? Like, what did you do with his body? Did you have him in an urn? We have him in an urn. Okay. If you had him in an urn, you could just bring it out. And so, we saw a casket on day one. They took his body from Utah back to Arizona, and she did that weird fucking crying thing and put it on Instagram. And then we saw the casket being carried into a van or some shit, right, by a bunch of dudes. And, she filmed all that with Usha and J.D. Vance and fell all over those fucks. And then she, that's been it. Then there was this gaudy fucking, whatever it was, carnival show that Trump put on with her. And all these famous people showed up. And there was fireworks and sparklers. And, that's where she forgave the killer. She forgave the fucking killer, remember? The killer, the guy who shot her husband. But she's got all this ire for her fans. She's not showing any venom or hatred for that young man. That poor young man. We'll go back to that in a second. You'll revisit that. I forgive him. But all this hatred and victim consciousness and poor me shit is coming out towards truthers who are asking legitimate questions. Can I have one thing? This isn't about you, bitch, right? Like you got $100 million organization. No, hundreds of millions of dollars. Candace Owens said they made $140 million since his death. He reportedly got $100 million from donors, including mostly of those are Zionists, for pushing the Zionist agenda. They have a campus and buildings and fucking, this is, they're on a, very high level, and it's all donate, it's mostly donation related. She's pitching this book, going to get some more millions for that. And, their channel is tanking. You got an audience here that believes you're full of shit, right? Your audience is full of shit, and now you're telling them they're fucking, can I have one thing, you greedy fucks? Can I have one thing for my husband, for myself, and my kids? You greedy pieces of shit. Do you have to take everything from me and my family? Not the fucking killer. His fucking fans. They gave you $2.5 million in donations for fucking GoFundMe. And another 140 for your organization. But one thing for you, right? And after you gave a speech 3 days into this thing, bitch, right?
What are they taking from you right now?
Nothing.
Nothing. It seems like this is so prepared.
I will tell you what they are doing. It reminds me so much of chapter 6 in the book of Nehemiah. He is building a wall, and the townspeople are at the base of that hill saying, Nehemiah, calling him all these names, saying all these things, come on down.
No, you mean the people who are funding your fucking wall? Right, this is when you take donations and sell merch to people, based in their religious and political beliefs. And, this is in fucking bullshit Bible in the Old Testament. I mean, this is where they get fucking stupid, right? What are you building? You're building a show that no longer works. The part of you had a business model, right? And the business model was on the ability of Charlie Kirk to debate college kids and tell them they are full of shit when they were upset about a genocide that America was sponsoring. that piece of shit, and go to these college campuses and, have these interactions, and then have these other events and things like this where it's a personality generated, content generated business. You guys giving your opinions, Charlie Kirk giving his opinion about world events, right? So this is what I do and a number of people do, right? There's so many of us that do this, podcasters, people who talk about what's happening in the world, what's happening with them, and people tune in to watch what a person has to say. Your ideas, your thoughts, your perspective, right? And Charlie Kirk was able to get funded by Israel first and foremost. I mean, like we'll cover that in a moment with the Israel piece to this. But that's what this business was about, right? So your podcast thing, your show sucks. You got a couple of twinks out there, the guys I called two beta males sharing one testicle, like they have no testosterone. These guys, right? These fucking, they're supposed to be right wing, heterosexual, manly men, and they seem gay, or they very effeminate. They're either like metrosexual, they're just not real Republicans. And I don't give a shit. I'm not a Republican. I don't give a shit. I don't care if it's funny. I put more gay dudes out there. I love it. Go. It's, the more that it's a hypocrisy, right? I mean, one of your big thing was that, anti-gay kind of, anti-trans athletes, all that stuff. And then you roll out these guys and they're all feminine. The guy who's hiring, the guy who introduced you to your husband, is been rumored to be gay. And Candace Owens says she has evidence that he was sleeping with interns. Like she can present evidence that Tyler Boyer is actually a closeted gay guy who hired all these other gay dudes or feminine dudes, whatever it is, right? But nobody likes the product. You had a product that Charlie Kirk was creating, and you were losing your fans. People were, his most popular moment was right before the election, post-election with Trump. That was the pinnacle of TPUS gay and Charlie Kirk. But then it was problematic because Trump sucks, and he bailed on the Epstein thing. And you guys still are pushing Trump, and, your fans are not into Trump. These young men, as you call them, right? And so what are you building? Like you're building a shitty show. Like your show sucks right now. You have to have a show that people want to watch. And apparently they deleted all the Charlie Kirk videos off of Spotify, and they're tanking on Spotify. They're still up on YouTube, but the YouTube channel sucks, and all you're getting ratioed. The people are showing up and saying, you guys suck, your show sucks. That's your audience. Those are your customers. And you're saying, fuck you to your customers. I forgive that young man. But fuck you customers. The people that are paying for this wall that I'm talking about. We're building you a wall with your donation money. Yeah, we want to know the truth about your husband. Fuck you. Let me give you a biblical verse.
Every single time he had the same message 4 times in a row. I cannot come down. I am busy building. That is how I feel. I do not have time to address the noise. My silence does not mean that I am complacent. Mm-hmm. My silence does not mean that somehow Turning Point USA and all of the handpicked staff that loved my husband and my husband loved them is somehow in on it.
Yeah, well, that's what people think. So, and you're not, by telling them they're full of shit, you ain't going to, win them over. You could answer some fucking questions. You could answer all the questions. There's financial impropriety. There's $8.5 million that disappeared and to some, shell company. And they have a no staff, but a payroll. There's nobody, there's no staff that are being paid. They don't have any, this whole thing. This guy audited. At least that's what this guy did. I don't know. But that's, Candace Owens had that guy on, and I think that guy's been on Jimmy Dore because people keep on telling me about it, but I've seen it on Candace Owens. And that guy's either bullshitting or not. But these are real financial questions. But the big thing is they don't like you and you're not believable. And you play in the victim card on your fucking fans, the ones that are sponsoring this thing that you're building. And you're not going to, you're the CEO of a company, then they're the part of that company. They're the ones that prop it up, right? It's like the people at Goodwill, the fucking Goodwill, which is a scam, where you donate your clothes to and they say fuck you to you, right? You piece of shit. Oh yeah, but bring your merch over, bring your clothes over so we can sell it. But fuck you guys, right? Like, you have to fucking pander to your audience. And coming in and telling them they're full of shit and not providing any information and backing an official story that nobody fucking believes, right? Nobody believes this fucking official story. And so, you're in a problematic situation. The reason why you haven't come down off of your fucking high horse where you're building something special is because the people are not going to like the answers that you're going to give them. And if you do it with fucking victim consciousness and this bullshit and this fake act that you've put on for this specific interview, wearing red and coming out fired up, trying to win back some fucking fans with your poor little me. Nobody, me and my kids, no one's buying that shit, bitch.
We are busy building. And you know what I thought? I thought these people are human. We are all grieving in our own way. And they are trying to find the answer to something that happened that was so evil.
It was so evil, but but they're the evil ones for wanting that answer. They're not the people that perpetrated this. So here's the biggest thing. This is what I wanted to cover here, more than anything else. So the only thing that we really know for sure, the only thing that Candace Owens has for, her old, everybody look at me, her competition for views. I mean, Candace Owens and Turning Point share an audience. These are people who watch both Candace Owens and they watch Charlie Kirk. They watch these two shows, right? They watch other people. Tim Pool went after Candace Owens and he lost all these subscribers. And he realized that he was sharing an audience with these people, with her. These are the people. Like, you have viewers, and, my viewers here, I don't call mine, but you guys watch other people, right? It's not some exclusive thing. There was this thing that happened, this guy, and it was funny, I came home and I had a migraine. I went out and did something. And I came home and there's hundreds of hostile comments to me. And many of them were from my viewers. And there was a guy he was a flat earther, and he had taken some of my videos and put them up and was running ads on them without my permission. And I didn't know him or anybody. Like, there's all these people who were stealing my videos. This is back when I got hundreds of thousands of views on some of my videos, some of the, bigger ones, millions. Like, I had a video that had like 2.3 million views. Like, it's a different time. YouTube used to promote my channel, and I used to make worse videos that was, more accessible to dumb fucks, and I don't do that anymore. Like, I've evolved as a creator. But back then, people would take my videos. Sometimes it was foreign people would just take the whole video and put it up on their channel. Sometimes their video would get more views than the original. So I would, copyright the people. And this guy did it. I didn't know who he was. And his channel, he had been copyrighted by other people. And you get 3 strikes, and his channel was being taken down. And he made a video saying that I was going after him personally. And I didn't even know who the fuck he was. And he sent all of his fucking bullshit viewers over to me. And it was people who I knew, recognized as people. They were all like, you piece of shit. They all turned on me. It was a good understanding of your audience, right? Like, these people who claim to love you and they turn on you in a heartbeat. So, that's how not all of you, but this is stuff that anybody, like, she's experienced it here at Turning Point, right? Your audience can turn on you, and they will. And, I didn't do anything wrong. This guy stole my video. And, we got into a whole thing. The guy ended up apologizing to me and sort of apologizing on his show, and he wrote a letter and, kind of took accountability. Apparently he's dead now, the guy. Not because of me. I had nothing to do with it. I just found out he was dead. I had forgot all about it. But it's something that you can understand that, there's other truthers, and people would have wars with other truthers. They would go at each other, and they had like shared children, like they had shared, they have these audience, and the audience would pick sides and, all that kind of shit, right? Like, that gets like a divorce, or it's like a, beef. And so, you have to understand that Candace Owens people are your people. Like, they're the same people. And if they believe her and not you, you're fucked if you get into a situation like this. And so the thing that Candace Owens has is that Charlie, and it isn't just what she, there's 3 things that happened. Charlie turned on Israel. not because of the genocide, because he had a conscience and a heart. He said in a talk or somewhere that he didn't believe that empathy was a real thing. That empathy was created by the New Age movement. And so, he didn't have empathy for the 30,000, 200,000 children that died at the hands of this Israeli fucking defense force, the IDF. And he didn't have any kind of compassion for them. But he started to lose his audience. Young Republicans started to turn on Israel. And Tucker Carlson, who, he looked up to, apparently, allegedly, and Megyn Kelly, and these were people who were his contemporaries, and he was, he went on their shows, right? And, of course, Candace Owens. And so these were all people that they were influencing the Turning Point audience. They shared an audience. And everybody was turning on Israel. And he was in a bad position because he couldn't move forward with what was happening. So he did this kind of slick stuff where he brought in Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson to Turning Point events. He said, go fullbacks, right? About Israel. And they had given him hundreds of millions of fucking gangster money. That's gangster money, right? You're part of a gang. You're part of a cartel. These motherfuckers kill people, right? They don't give you $100 million so you can stab them in the back, build you up and prop you up so you can turn on them. So this is problematic for him. And he knew they might kill him because they have no problem killing people. They're murdering children over in fucking Palestine even as we speak, right? They're destroying a whole fucking other country. These are fucking killers. You took $100 million of killer money, and now you're saying, hey, these guys aren't as great as I've been telling you guys. They ain't going to listen to that shit, right? They don't give a fuck about you, goy, right? So he's turning on him. And then he had these notes. One, he wanted to do a audit of the money, the donation money that's flowing through and in and out. It was being fucking pilfered off by this so-called loving staff. He wanted to bring Candace Owens back, and he wanted to turn on Israel. He wanted to cut ties with Israel and the Israeli lobby, the Zionist lobby. And so there was these notes that he revealed, and these were his intentions. He clearly was doing this a month out. And now she and these other fucking people at her place are not honoring that. They're going back and shilling for Israel. Like, they're not even talking about it, right? And so that's a problem. That's their biggest fucking problem. Because Charlie made his intentions perfectly clear, and now they're pretending that never happened. And so in that, they had to grab her. They had to get her. Whatever people who are responsible and Netanyahu and the people that gave him hundreds of millions of dollars, they definitely were not happy with the direction Charlie was going. So they were a part of this fucking thing. And she, for whatever they threatened her with or gave her or whatever she's doing here, those are the people that she's backing, and she's, are handling her. And she fucking can't go back against those people, right? And so that's what this is all about, like this whole fucking thing. Her audience has gone in one direction, and she's going back, like trying to erase the last 6 weeks of Charlie's life, where he was, and he went on Megyn Kelly's, and we'll show that. Let's go to that clip here. Okay, so kind of interesting. I just ate breakfast, and a video popped up, Tucker Carlson, which I just watched a clip from him yesterday. First, there were some clips about him kind of supporting Candace Owens that she showed on her show. And then he came out with a second statement last night on his channel. So they recommended a video that is entitled, let's see, it was on my phone, Why Are We Defending a Mass Murderer? And it's a picture of in Gaza. And it's a picture of Benjamin Netanyahu, right? So, and he starts off by saying, why is Israel our number one ally? So, this is kind of what this is all about. So a month right before Charlie Kirk was killed, this exchange happened with Megyn Kelly.
Say, you can criticize Israel. That's fine. We won't call you anti-Semitic if you criticize Israel. Now, turn around immediately and say, you're anti-Semitic for even raising that. I completely reject that. And I raise this as a pushback against my friends on that particular strain of the aisle to watch it. because you don't want to alienate people who are openly your friends by going nuts in your crackdowns on mild
Nuts is the
pushback
right
on
word.
anything related to Israel. Now you take it.
I'm so glad you brought this up, and I would second that, Megan. I think I have a bulletproof resume showing my defense of Israel, both on.
Well, it wasn't bulletproof, bro. I don't know if I make this joke every time, but holy shit, bro. It wasn't bulletproof, bro.
Campus, on social media, to great, let's just say mockery and scorn at times, because I believe it, right? I believe in the scriptural land rights given to Israel.
Like, that's just a bullshit thing. There's no scriptural land rights. Scripture is just whatever you write it as. God told me this is our promised land. Yeah, fuck you, right? God doesn't promise shit. God does not promise anything but his love, right? That's all you're entitled to, is God's love. There's nothing physical you're entitled to, right? You're not entitled to land. You got to fight for your land. You look at all the creatures around the world. You think of fucking, well, I saw this video of someone put a camera in like a shelter for owls or something, like a box, and there's a couple of barn owls in there, and a kestrel, which is a much smaller bird of prey, came in and kicked them out, right? That happens all the time. People, animals get displaced. People get displaced by any number of things. Sometimes it's nature. Sometimes it's other creatures. But everything's a territorial fucking battle. I mean, that's, it's nice that we have some structure, but, it's your military that guards your borders. Another country can come in and say, hey, guess what? This is our land now. And God doesn't say, no, hey, guess what? I gave those fuckers, no. It's stupid. But anyways, that's not the point here.
Believe in fulfillment of prophecy. And again, I'm not a theologian, but I'm a Christian. My life was changed in Israel. The spiritual energy is so amazing there. I want them.
Yeah, that's not what I understand. I haven't been there, but the third master seismic system went to the Wailing Wall, so there's no spiritual energy here. Because they're always humping it, right? Humping the wall over there.
To win. I've said that repeatedly.
Same.
And however, Megan, you're hitting on something very potent and important. Now, let me first say, I don't want to judge an entire group, because there's been many people in the pro-Israel world that have been very sweet, very kind, very nuanced, very Charlie, you're with us, you don't have to agree all the time. However, and I will say this, the behavior by a lot, both privately and publicly, are pushing people like you and me away.
Privately. So there was a meeting where there was an intervention, which all these people deny. And so Charlie Kirk went up to the Hamptons, which, Candace Owens talks about. This has been confirmed. And his wife would have been like, a part of that, right? She would have known the guy was being fucking bullied. He called it being bullied and harassed. And he just said publicly and privately, that's what he's talking about. And that he was bullied and harassed. I mean, this was happening not just there, but publicly and privately. They were calling him out publicly, but also behind closed doors. His wife would have known. The biggest donor, you're running a company, and the one that's the donors that have built the company are now pressuring you to support them in a way that you don't feel comfortable anymore doing, right? You don't think Erica Kirk would have been involved with that shit? She wouldn't have known. She wouldn't have felt some stress that her husband was going through, that these people, they gave him lots of money, hundreds of millions of dollars. So, I mean, they had every right to they bought this motherfucker, and he was starting to squeal, right? He's starting to, say things that they paid him not to say, right? But, she would be aware of this situation, right? More than anybody else.
Like we're going to be pro-Hamas, not
No.
like but we're like, honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite. I am learning biblical
ridiculous.
Hebrew and writing a book on the Shabbat. I honor the Shabbat. Literally,
Wait, that book wasn't done yet, right? It's called Stop in the Name of God.
Jewish Sabbath. I visit Israel and fight for it. And there's another article out in the Times of Israel today. I could read it on air. I was just reading before I got on. Charlie, what are you doing? Like, what am I doing? I'm sorry. Like, let's just take a step back here. Like, I'm an American citizen. Yes, I want Israel to win. Yes, I'm a Christian. But like some of the mess, and you've seen how I've been treated, Megan, by some, not all, by some.
No, it's very irritating.
It's
been
almost
so
as if
unfair. They were coming after you after Turning Point for, among other things, that you had Dave Smith there. Dave Smith is allowed to criticize Israel. You had both sides.
Okay, so the reason why the same thing applies to Erica Kirk now as applies to Dave Smith, because I heard Joe Rogan interview Dave Smith, and my wife and I were listening to this. We were driving somewhere, and we were like, this guy's annoying, Dave Smith. But then somehow I pulled up the debate between Dave Smith and Josh Hammer. I did a whole video on that alone, because Dave Smith mopped the fucking floor with Josh Hammer and destroyed him in this debate. Because there's no real, and this is what Tucker Carlson's alluding to today in a video, with this stuff with the Netanyahu. Why is Israel our best ally? What do they do for us? Nothing. They're parasitic, right? It's a parasitic relationship. And so when you have a situation where you can't defend the relationship between Israel and America, you can't defend Israel's actions in to Gaza, right? Hamas was being funded by Israel. And Netanyahu had said, as long as Hamas is running Gaza, we'll never have a two-state solution. So he funded them, right? So what they were being, all the weapons, all the shit that they got was being funded. Like even when food and water weren't getting through, money was getting through, right? Israel's allowed money to go to Hamas because Hamas was their asset, which has been published. Netanyahu has said it privately, and it's been published in various Israeli newspapers, and it's been basically admitted to by even Josh Hammer. And so that's undefensible, right? It's indefensible. And so the same thing with Erica Kirk. She can't defend the official story, right? And so they have to call names. They have to demonize people. They have to pull out the victim card, all these kind of things. Because she can't defend that Charlie Kirk had, this is a video that's out there, right? She can't defend that Charlie Kirk was leaving Israel and the relationship was fractured, that he didn't want to take any more money from them, that he was going to disavow this whole thing. And also his fans had already left. They weren't buying this Israeli bullshit anymore. The Republicans, the young people, all of them. It's like, there's two Turning Point chapters guys who came on their show and said, it's everybody. It's the liberals, it's the conservatives. That battle's lost. Charlie was paid to go to these campuses and fight this bullshit anti-Semitism claim. Was young people realizing that this was a shitty relationship and that Israel was perpetrating a war crimes, a genocide and a displacement of people, ethnic cleansing in Gaza, and everybody can see it. That's what happened, and that's what was Trump backed it, but these young people are fucking over it, right? And so this is where you can't walk away from this thing and not and answer questions about it, right? Like Erica Kirk should say why she has chosen to ignore this whole thing that happened with Charlie Kirk the month before he died, right? And she can't do that. Like she can't talk about this.
The Israeli side was
you're not allowed
overrepresented.
to, though. No, you're not allowed to. It's even worse than that. Again, I just want to repeat for the fifth time. I love Israel. I want Israel to win. But my moral character is now being put into question, Megan. Not my decisions. Not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb? But no, I am a bad person if I do this. And I could go, you saw it, Megan. It was trending on Twitter, thousands of tweets and text messages. And if I were to be charitable and generous, I will say the people that are attacking me are in a hyper-paranoid state because they're at war, and war tends to make things black and white, and you're a hammer looking for a nail. So I'm trying to be charitable, Megan. Literally, I'm trying to cut as much slack as I can, right?
And also the fact they gave me hundreds of millions of dollars. And, they might fucking whack me. So, I'm trying to cut them some slack. So anyways, so this happened, right? We all know what happened. And now TPUSK and Erica Kirk pretend it didn't, right? They're pretending everything was fine with Israel and Charlie Kirk. She might end up going there sometime in the near future. She's bought and paid for. She got $140 million of keep your mouth shut money, right? Shut your fucking mouth money, bitch, right? Keep your fucking mouth shut, right? Like, so it was shot, and, the way that they're describing this, the bullet, went in right by the guy's mouth. The bullet went in here and came out down by his throat, right? It went in right underneath his jaw. Like, shut up, fuck, right? You $100 million taking fuck. Like, this is what they were doing. All right, let's go back to it here.
They're trying so hard, and I get that. We're doing the same. Anytime we hear a lead or anytime we hear anything, we send it to the authorities.
The authorities. See, that's the problem. Now, first of all, why would the authorities need for you to find a lead? But they don't trust the authorities. So, Charlie didn't trust the government, right? That was part of his thing. He didn't believe in the JFK story. And, all these people who he catered to and pandered to, all of his followers, all these people, don't trust the authorities. And now with Trump not releasing the Epstein files, Trump is a part of that. They don't trust Kash Patel, who's turned, was, totally an Epstein guy. And now Kash Patel has turned, changed his story. All these people, they don't trust any of these people. We don't trust them, right? So your viewers don't trust the authorities, and that's the whole problem. If you, like if you're saying the authorities are, are trustworthy, that's not what Charlie and your platform said before. It was about the authorities not being trustworthy. Yeah, they were Biden authorities, but they're still authorities. People don't trust the FBI. Tucker Carlson's going to get into it. And so, first of all, why would you be sending leads to them, right? And what would the leads be? How do you have leads on Tyler Robinson, right? Like, how do you have any of that shit? And you guys have done suspicious shit. And, you're going to be under the microscope. So as soon as you say, we trust the authorities, that's a big fuck you to your audience. And then when you're saying, well, you guys should trust the authorities, that's a bigger fuck you, right? Because we ain't trusting the authorities. We don't believe in the official story in any of these things for good reason, right? We're not fucking crazy. And to make us like fucking bad people, not me, because I'm not this is for her supporters, because, we're not going along with the official fucking story. Like you're some sort of a plant. You're like an FBI shill. You're a CIA shill, right? You're a Manchurian candidate. No, you're fake as fuck. No one's that's just because you were married to some guy allegedly, right?
Let's dig into this. No rock will be unturned. I want justice for my husband, for myself, for my family, more than anyone else out there. So for me,
see, that's her credibility. Like now, we don't believe that. Like I have said over and over, if they are going to do something that is to hit on Charlie Kirk and it's going to involve more than one person, which of course it always fucking does, and they come out with some bullshit Patsy story, like these other stories, this is just another example of like a JFK. This is like a JFK thing. It happened in public, and nobody believes the official story. And so, there's already references for this. And when you roll out some fucking Patsy and you do what they're doing here, and you're going to put it out there like, all right, you guys should trust me. I'm the widow. I'm the widow. I want justice more than anybody. This is something that Candace Owens has said. Why am I the only person going after the truth here? Why aren't you guys? Why are you guys going after me and trying to shut up the people going after the truth? And so we don't trust you. You haven't behaved like a fucking normal person would who lost their husband. You went out immediately for, your business. You went out, you didn't grieve properly because you just would have done that privately. You said, I get this one thing. No, you had to make $140 million to keep this thing going. You had to go capitalize on all this money. You had to get, you had to get as much mouth shut money. I'll keep my mouth shut, but I want fucking money. That's that's what your actions are. And you have to answer those actions, right? Like, does every wife, when a spouse gets murdered, the first suspect is always the husband or the wife, the survivor, the widow or the widower, right? It's always that person. The cops go after that person first and foremost. You're a suspect, right? You're immediate suspect if your spouse dies, and if your spouse is murdered. That's just the way it is, right? It's they always look at the people closest to you. You don't think like fucking all the divorces, all the shit that goes down. out there, people turning on each other, Judasing each other in marriage, that, like, we're just going to take your word that you really loved them, and when you've not demonstrated any of the fucking appropriate ways of expressing love for somebody other than fakeness and fucking acting and throwing up the devil's horns and all that shit she did, right?
You want to keep telling me to come down while we're building? I don't have time for that. But
I don't have time to save my fucking audience. I don't have time to save my audience, right? I don't have time to save my audience? What the fuck are you talking about?
My breaking point on that. Come after me, call me names, I don't care. Call me what you want, go down that rabbit hole, whatever. But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love.
You love every one of them. You know every one of them. 450 people that work there, and every one of them, there isn't one Judas amongst them, right? I mean, Jesus had 12 disciples. And his 12 disciples, you don't think those guys were more spiritually evolved and more committed? You can't say, but based in your religion, than your pieces of shit over there, your twinks and your weird motherfuckers over there. All those people, Rob McCoy and his fucking kids, all those weird fucks over there, the weird shit that they're doing, that they're all just fucking stellar, good people doing a great job. And when hundreds of millions of dollars are on the fucking line, there's, people are getting rich off this donor bullshit, money laundering scheme over there. The influence you guys had at one point, the money that you have, the organization you have, all these chapters that you have out there, that there's not anybody out there who might be fucking on the take, might be out for themselves, might be corrupt. There's not one Judas there, somebody, Charlie Kirk rubbed the wrong way. There's not anybody in there that possibly could have sold him out. Like, Charlie Kirk doesn't have a Judas, right? I mean, you're comparing him to Jesus, but he doesn't have a Judas. Like, he's got a Judas. He's got a Judas, right?
And you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this.
Okay. We've talked about the money, and this is where Candace Owens said there's $140 million. But here's the more important part. Why are we making money on it? So the mainstream media, this guy Sharon Moore got fired for sexual assault or something, an assault at Michigan. And so I turned on sports today, and I saw that story was being covered by CNN. It was recommended to me. But if you go to CNN and MSNBC, and I haven't done it yet, I'll do that, and I'll show you in a second after we're done with this clip. They're not covering this thing right here, right? This is a Fox News exclusive. They have moved on from Charlie Kirk. And if they do cover it, it's a like, oh yeah, this thing went on, late in the hour, not a top story. They cover the top stories in the first 15-minute segment, the second stories in the second 15 minutes. Then they get into other bullshit, or they go back over the first stories. They repeat stories during the hour. They go back to them, and then they, the last 15 minutes, they get into human, whatever it is, some stories. And, every hour they're going to cover the main stories. Like every hour they're going to talk about, something to do with Trump, something to do with whatever's going on. And they're going to cover the same stories hour in an hour. And Fox News is the only one covering this because no one gives a shit about this on the left. There's some left-wing haters and people, but they're not obsessed with this woman. Turning Point is done, and it's not important to them. And, there'll be a viral clip that go around the left on Twitter or some shit, something stupid she said, right, whatever it might be. But, if this is not a left-wing story. So the people who are watching these videos are either truthers or right-wing Charlie Kirk type people. And, that's it. Those are the only people who are interested in this. And the truthers are losing interest. Truthers aren't, they're over this story. So the only people who really care about it are your people. Your people that are your fans. And so money's being made because your fans are fucking generating the money because they don't buy the official story. You're saying that people are making money off of this. Yeah. You're making money off of his deadness, his, whatever fucking martyr money you're making, right? But the people who watch Charlie Kirk, they want to know what fucking happened. And you're saying they're too stupid to figure it out for themselves, and they're being manipulated by conspiracy theorists, and you're so mad at, all of us, but you forgave the guy who popped him? Like, come on, bitch.
No.
I have to say it. I've never seen you like this.
No, this is righteous anger because
You have righteous anger for this, but not for the guy who killed him? You forgave the guy who killed him, but this is righteous anger? Righteous anger. This is righteous. You guys are wronging us. You're wronging my staff, my wonderful staff. You're wronging me. You're wronging the memory of Charlie Kirk. But the guy who shot him, fuck that guy's great. Go, you're forgiven. But you fucking guys who don't believe in the official story, who we're the ones who've moved away from you, right? All the people who follow Charlie Kirk and all the people who are interested in this story, they didn't believe the governmental story about any of these things. It's normal for them to react this way, right? It's normal for them to be skeptical. It's normal for these people to do what they're doing. Turning Point's the one that's changing the story. They're changing the story of how Charlie felt about Israel. They're changing the story about how Charlie felt about these assassinations when he said it's never one guy. Like Charlie Kirk said, it's never one guy. And that video's going around. And you guys are fucking, nope, it's one guy. You're the one who changed, right? And, this is righteous anger against what? People who are seeking the truth, people who don't believe the official story. Fuck you, right? Like this is, look at her. And she's in this fake anger, like just one interview where she's being this way. And this is going to come around this Monday when they come out and they go after everybody and they don't invite Candace Owens because this is where they're going with this thing. And they're going to get fucked on that. Candace Owens getting 2 million views and they're getting dick on these things, right? I mean, they're going to get nothing, from people who support them.
this is not okay. It's not healthy. This is a mind virus.
A mind virus? You're more mentally ill? This is not okay? This is, we can't, we're supposed to just believe you and the fucking official story? Fuck you, right? We're the crazy ones. Like, it's a mind virus. How dare you ask questions? We're the ones, I'm the one grieving the most. And if I say it's Patsy and I forgive this guy, you should go along with it. That's not how this fucking works. You got to win your audience. You can't fucking just expect them to go with you because they liked your husband at one point. They thought your husband was cool maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I mean, before they realized he was bullshit on Israel and Trump sucked. Like, you can't just say, hey, everybody, Jeffrey Epstein didn't commit suicide. Oh, Jeffrey Epstein did commit suicide. Oh, you guys believe he didn't? You have a mind virus. What the fuck are you talking about, right?
Yes, I believe in our judicial system. I do.
You do. You believe in that judicial system. Why? Because you're getting shekels?
We have a hell of a team working on this. Excuse my French.
We have a hell of a... It's your team? What about your followers? What about Charlie's followers? Your team. Your team of what? Police and FBI and investigators and lawyers?
But this is not okay.
So
This is not okay. It's not okay. You think people are going to fucking listen to you and be like, oh my God, sorry. I feel shame. You're trying to gaslight people who already think you're fake as fuck, right? Like you just sealed your fucking fate. Like people have made their decision about you. You opened your mouth here and you backed the official story. You told your viewers they are full of shit. And now you've sealed your fucking fate. They're not fucking, they're not robots and mannequins that you can just tell, oh, look at me, I'm the grieving widow. Look at me, I'm this righteous anger. Fuck you, right? Nobody likes you. You're not likable.
To put these people back in the box where they've been creeping from.
I don't care what box you're in.
The box that they've been creeping from? You mean her fucking fans? The box that they've been creeping from. Is that how you're characterizing everybody who asks questions about something that's fake as fuck? The box that we've been creeping from? What the fuck are you talking about? Like we're some kind of golems creeping out of the fucking box? You guys are righteous, self-righteous anger and you're good people? You work for Fox News, bitch. You're in the ultimate creep fest over there, right? On fucking Fox News, right? Like you don't fucking get on a high horse and talk about us creeping out of a box.
But just know that your words are very powerful and we are human. My team are not.
Oh, these words hurt you? You have an internet business. You've talked about death threats and all the things that Charlie went through, but when your fans question your official bullshit story, like you're human all of a sudden.
Machines, and they're not robots. They are human. We have more death threats on our team and our side than I have ever seen. I have kidnapping threats. I have, you name it, we have it. And my poor team is exhausted. And every time they bring this back up.
My poor fucking team. Well, they could just take a week off. They could take a month off and no one's watching your shit anyway. Like, what are they exhausted about? Going out and talking about shit on their shitty show? Are they exhausted for reading all the comments telling them that they suck and the show sucks and there's no longer an audience because Charlie Kirk's dead and they don't like these fucking weirdos that you put out there? Is that exhausting for them? It's exhausting to go out and suck every day and do the official story and destroy your ability to influence people by attacking your audience and telling them they're stupid and like they're too stupid. We didn't think anybody was stupid enough to fall for these ideas.
What are we supposed to do? Relive that trauma all over again? They watched my husband get murdered. I have no idea how I would have reacted if I was there that day. And thank the good Lord that I did not have to see that happen. But my team, they are rocked to the core.
They're rocked to the core.
Every single day, do they have to be dragged through the mud, analyzed, hyper-analyzed?
You know, the conspiracies that are out there.
Again with the conspiracies. Fuck you. You guys, when Biden was president, you guys were full of conspiracies. But now, these fucking conspiracy theorists. Again, telling people they're stupid, they don't know what's going on. This is why people don't watch Fox News anymore. I mean, people with any kind of a pulse. You got a bunch of old people watching this, right? Your average age is 60 to 70, 60 something, whatever it is. Their average age is in the 70s. Like that's their main viewer. They don't get young people. Turning Point was supposed to be about young people. They're not buying this shit, right? They're not, allied with this fucking C word, right? They're not allied. They don't owe her anything. And so, conspiracy, they like this whole thing, right?
Hyper-analyzed.
The conspiracies that are out there, all of the like. Do you think that there is more of it now because you do shine your light? I mean, did people just expect you would just go away?
What is shining her light? Faking and being a bad actress? I mean, they should have found somebody who was believable as a grieving widow, unless this is part of what they want. They want this, right? They want division, which they always do. So, that's, probably a safe bet that they rolled out this fucking bad acting, fake crying, superficial, non-grieving widow, right?
I don't know what they expected.
They pick on you because of your accessories. I mean, I've seen some of it.
Oh, yeah. No, at this point, it's the conspiracy collection.
The conspiracy collection, you guys. Poor little old me with my big gaudy fucking jewelry and my $2.5 million in GoFundMe money and all the fucking millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars that I have at my disposal at this organization. It's a conspiracy collection. It's just you guys are dumb conspiracy theorists.
Collection. Get it before Christmas. Seriously.
Fuck you guys. Fuck you, my audience. Fuck Charlie's audience and his.
If you want to find and pick me apart, go right ahead. I do not care. I don't. This was happening before Charlie.
Well, you should care because you need an audience, right? I don't know what kind of grift you got going there, money laundering. I don't know what the fuck they're doing over there. But if you don't have an audience, then none of it makes sense, right? You have to have an audience.
Murdered, both of us have been through the ringer of people will call you whatever they want to call you. They will. But I have seen it firsthand impact the people that I love, and I'm done. I'm done.
She's done. What does it mean you're done? You're gonna fucking get rid of the comment section? What are you gonna do? What's your fucking recourse? What is your action to control this situation? This ain't fucking working, bitch. Right? This isn't gonna work. Right? So what are you gonna do? What's your plan to stop this?
And if people think that I was just gonna wilt away, I'm not gonna sit in a corner and cry and be in fetal position. This is a duty to my husband.
Yeah, no one wants that. Well, they just answer the fucking questions. Answer the questions. You're saying that this guy, you've forgiven a guy who is, the evidence is goofy. It's a goofy case. And, explain the caliber weapon. Explain why you think this evidence is irrefutable. If you got that kind of a case, you got a confession. The FBI says they have a confession. They have a murder weapon. All this shit. It's a closed, open and closed case. Then come out and say how this case is so great, and answer all the questions about all the things that people have questions about. Sit there and answer. Do a real fucking interview. No one's talking about wilting away. You get up and answer the fucking questions, right? Charlie was supposed to be this great debater, face anybody. Go out there and fucking debate Candace Owens. Sit down with Candace Owens and have her bring her facts that she says she has and debate her. Why don't you debate Candace Owens? No one wants you to wilt away. Answer her concerns and questions. You're not in some emotional way and name calling and talking about how it's all evil and you're the good one and fuck you guys and how dare you, how fucking dare you. Right?
And it's an absolute honor, and I will never back down. And so my message to them is to stop.
To stop? That's your message? What? They're not going to fucking stop. They don't like you, bitch. They don't listen to you. Right? Fucking stop. Your message is to stop. What are you going to do to stop them, right? This is the internet. You don't tell the internet to stop. Hey, internet, stop doing what you do, right?
To stop.
Boom. The way she looked at it. Boom.
To stop.
Kaboom.
And that's what we will say here on Outnumbered 2. God bless you. Hold up your book.
Boom.
In the name of God.
Stop in the name of God. Stop in the name of God, you crazy conspiracy. That's what it's about. Stop doing your conspiracies in the name of God. Stop. Oh, that ending was just platinum. Okay, so that got 161,000 views 21 hours ago. They turned off the comments. Fox News turned off the comments to that, So they know she was going to get rolled up. And 161,000 views. More people saw these clips with Candace Owens responding to them. Candace Owens responded to those clips. Her videos probably got at least 2 million views, if not more right now. I mean, I think I have that video up here somewhere. So Candace Owens has 1.8 million views, almost 1.9. And her video has been up 24 hours. So it'll be well over 2 million. And that interview we just saw, she shows 2 clips. She shows about a third of the interview and then responds to it. So the majority of people are getting their news from Candace and not Fox News. They turned off their comments because they knew they'd get rolled up, right? So they're aware that the comment section is going to be, fuck you, right? And for her to say stop, that isn't going to fucking work. But here, this is CNN, and they have nothing here on that. I mean, they might have covered it and not put it up on the internet. They don't put everything up that they cover. But they don't care about that story anymore, right? So, I mean, if they put one thing here, it would be something that their audience wouldn't even really be all that interested in. Because it isn't the liberals. This is a, Charlie Kirk fans. This is a MAGA on MAGA crime, right? These are MAGA people. So, nothing here at all in Erica Kirk. Not even even if they just had one thing here, it would still be nothing, right? They're not covering this story. It's not something that they look at as being something their audience is interested in. And so, even if they mentioned it somewhere, it would be a passing afterthought. Then MS Now, there's Candace Owens, CNN. Is that MS Now what I did? Yeah, so that's MS Now. Here's CNN, and same thing. Again, I haven't looked through these, but they're not concerned about Erica Kirk anymore. They're not concerned about Charlie Kirk. That story is past for them. And so if there's some big news on it, but they're just, whatever. It's not something that they care about. This is all their things. It's 3 days ago. So neither one of these fucking liberal organizations has any concern about that interview, or Erica Kirk, or Charlie Kirk for that matter, or TPUSK. They've moved on to their Trump stuff and the Trump administration stuff, and their liberal bullshit. So the reality of the thing is, this is when she criticizes these people, she's criticizing the people that were Charlie Kirk fans and now don't believe in the official story or TPUSK, and they don't believe in Erica. So her saying, hey, you guys stop, knock it off, you guys, knock it off, that's not happening, right? Okay, so for the guy who murdered her husband, she forgives.
My husband, Charlie, he wanted to save young men just like the one who took his life. Again,
convicting a guy who, it's clearly not a slam dunk case. It's a fucked up thing to do, right? Like, she's forgiven him and then tainting the jury at the same time, right? And this is part of the bullshit. Like, she's doing this and people aren't buying it, right? People, some of her fans, some of the people here, I don't know if she has fans, but some of the people that showed up at this thing. But, this is not, people are already doubting the official story. So her coming out doing this.
That young man. On the cross, our Savior said, Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do.
They not know what they do. Father, forgive. They not know what they do. They not know what they do.
That man, that young man, I forgive him.
But not for conspiracy theorists. Not for her fans who don't buy the official story. Fuck those guys. Stop, you guys. Fucking knock it off. Stop it. This is righteous anger at you fucking motherfuckers. No righteous anger at the guy who killed her. So, she's full of shit. Okay. I didn't have to make this video to, this didn't have to be done because we all know she's full of shit. She's compromised. She is whatever she is. And this whole thing is fake as fuck. So here's this stuff with the Tucker Carlson stuff is important to their audience because Charlie Kirk looked up to him. Charlie Kirk brought him on the show. They brought Tucker Carlson to host the show. It was the first show after J.D. Vance. They brought J.D. Vance and then Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson was on with J.D. Vance, right? And so TPUSK is all about Tucker Carlson. Now watch Candace Owen and Tucker Carlson give each other cover here, right? They're helping each other, symbiosis in this, trying to give each other street cred.
Up to the nonsense. He's not speaking about Erica, obviously. He is friends with Erica. But just the nonsense of what the FBI is saying, he's wading in and saying, yeah, the FBI is not being clear in what happened. And I have questions because, and I think it feels like a blast of fresh air, because and I know many people at home, are seeing all of these people that we followed and we thought that they were heroes, and suddenly this assassination has exposed them all to be frauds. Like for the right.
Like when you guys all pretended Trump assassination was a real one. That was fake as fuck, bro. And it's when you what she just said, that he's not going after Erica Kirk because they're friends. And Tucker Carlson comes out, he gives his own statement. And I'll watch that because I don't want to ruin my jokes for that. But he talks about these people. He loves them all. Candace and Erica and somebody else that I wasn't expecting. It's kind of funny. But I'll show you that clip in a bit. But, this, it doesn't matter if they're your friends or not. Right? Like, you can have loyalty, but you can't be about all of what you're talking. You can't be about the truth and this kind of stuff, and not, call bullshit on your friends. Like, you can't say, "Oh, she's her friend, she's his friend, so he's not." Yeah, fuck that then. You can't. I mean, what about the people who give you money? That means you're a shill. That means you can be bought by friendship, by affection, or whatever it is. I can understand why you might defend your friends when they've done something wrong and stand by them, but you're not going to fucking lie for them. You shouldn't lie for them, right? I talked about this when, a bunch of my friends, not all of them, were cheating on their girlfriends. And their girlfriends knew I didn't like to lie. And, I never was a fan of that kind of thing. I'm like, just fucking break up with them, right? And the drama that they would get involved with. And when there was this one of my best friends from high school, and he moved down to Georgia, and then I moved down there some years later. And his girlfriend would call me up and harass the shit out of me because she knew I didn't like to lie. And she ended up macing him, and it was just fucking, like, she came up to him and maced him when he was with his new girlfriend. They had broken up by that point, but he had lied to her, and she was fucking crazy, whatever, emotional. She walked up and said hi to the new girlfriend and then shot mace in his face. Right? But, it's, you bring that shit on yourself, right? Just break up with the person. Just fucking, don't try to have both things. Don't try to, keep your wife and also have fucking something on the side. Like, just, it's stupid. Like, to get divorced. Like, if because it's going to that's what it's going to end up. You're making a choice. You're just trying to have both things at once, but you've already made your choice. You're destroying your relationship, even if you stay married. Like, your relationship will never be the same, right? All these things. But, the people who, I forgot where I was going with this, but, in terms of, there was this bro code, and my problem was, I was not supposed to rat out my friends, right? And now I would totally rat them out. Like, don't fucking tell me you're cheating on your girlfriend, because if she comes up, or your wife, if she comes up and asks me, I'm going to tell her, right? And I might tell her anyway. Like, because, why the fuck should I back you? You're putting me in a shitty position. Like, you're fucking, get a hold of your own shit, right? Like, I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to compromise my own fucking relationship with the divinity within me because of your fucking, your weakness, right? Don't expect some fucking bullshit bro code. When they say people rat, you should totally rat. And it's not ratting. You should totally tell the fucking truth. You should totally tell the fucking truth. Now, if, there's things in terms of your family and your spouse and things like this and than other people, but, the decisions people make affect you. And so there shouldn't be any major decision that somebody makes in your life that they don't consult you and keep it secret from you, or you should be making the decisions together, right? And so, this idea that you should, he's friends with Erica Kirk, what the fuck are you talking about, right? He's friends with her? Okay, good, then lie for her. And how can he be friends with her? How can anybody be friends? She's not a person who, she's like a made-up caricature. She's not even a real fucking person.
Price, they will join Operation Mockingbird. For me personally, that is how I feel, okay? Like, people in the military that I thought were forthright, people that were journalists that I thought were forthright. I just am so let down, and I don't think I would have been able to handle if Tucker Carlson
but you just came out and talked about Trump being assassinated. That's fake as fuck. I don't care if you make a mistake, and I'm not here to judge people. I don't judge people. It's between them and God. I don't give a fuck. I mock people for their failures, but I don't judge them. But their failures are obvious. But if, you made a mistake and you bought into the Trump assassination, fine. But that means your judgment sucks. And nobody should really listen to you because, you couldn't figure that thing out. And the time to figure that thing out was before the election. And all these people who pretended to be truthers and didn't even question. I don't even care if they said out and out that it was fake. That's fine. But you should question everything. And they didn't question whether Trump's bullshit WWE style fucking ketchup gate fake fucking assassination attempt was fake. And if you did question it, then you would realize it was. Because it's the questioning of something that's fake that then all the shit unfolds. But when you seal it up and you don't question it, that's the only way that these things get perpetrated. And Trump wouldn't be president right now if you guys had called it out back then when you were supporting him, because, and it's the same thing now with this and all the rest of it. It's obviously fake, but just question it. You don't have to say you know. You're never going to know. You don't have to come up with Egyptian planes and, red plane, blue plane, one fish, two fish, this fucking bullshit thing. Again, Tucker Carlson's going to confirm the planes. Like that's going to happen. So, but it's a matter of you question everything. That's the official story because they're liars. And there's some lie in there. You just got to figure out what it is. Or you should just, know that they're not telling you the whole truth or any of the truth, right?
Among those people, you need hard evidence. As if the killer's going to walk in and be like, okay, here's how I did it. Okay, I'm going to give you the hard evidence. I was here.
Yeah, but you just said that they're going to confess. After we get to the bottom of this, they're going to have no choice but to confess that the military, U.S. government military, was behind. What are you talking about? Like, you just said this yourself.
They're like, what? Instead, Tucker Carlson is coming out and he is blasting the corporate and the Fed narrative with common sense. He joined Theo Vaughn, and here is what he had to say. Take a listen.
I don't understand the official story at all.
Of his assassination,
I don't understand it, and I want to make sure that there is a truly rigorous and honest federal investigation of it, and I'm definitely concerned about that. A, B, I think that I don't know many of the details, but I know that.
Why would you know the details? You were good friends with Charlie Kirk. You went on TPUS Gay like 2 days after he was killed. And you were like closer to him, at least, in terms of the public, than Candace Owens was. Why wouldn't you know the fucking details? Like, this is your fucking job. I don't know. Like, this is what Trump says. I don't know. That's not my thing. What the fuck are you talking about? Why the fuck wouldn't you know the details? I don't give a shit about any of these fucking people, right? I don't care about this thing at all. I know the fucking details, right? I know lots of details about this thing. I wasn't friends with the guy. I'm not, connected here. It's not my audience. I don't want those fucking dumb fucks over here. I don't want dumb fuck TPUS gay people here. They're not my people, my viewers. So why do you not know? Like, why wouldn't you know? And it involves Israel.
Recently, Candace said that Egyptian registered aircraft were following Erica Kirk, Charlie's widow, around for a number of years in different places in the world. That's one of the weirdest things I've ever heard, and I just want to say that is factually true. That's true. So that's like the one data.
So he's giving her cover. This CIA shit, plant. Now she's going to give him cover in a second. Watch how this works.
That I happen to know is true. What does that mean? I have literally no idea. I can't even guess, but that's very, very strange.
And what is Egyptian? It could mean aircraft from Egypt. Who knows?
I think that they were registered in Egypt.
Got it.
And but that fact is true. So enough, and it also.
See, this really fucks TPUSK, and it fucks Erica Kirk. Because Tucker Carlson, who is, a part of this, these are all shared fans. These are all people who watch, the TPUS gay people also watch Tucker Carlson, also watch Candace Owens. And they might not like Candace, but they like Tucker. They might not like Tucker, but they like Candace, this kind of thing, right? But when two of the big marquee names in this genre of videos is saying there's bullshit here, and he's not backing Erica, is that, let's just go with the official story, and so they're fucked. Because, this guy was on their show, he was on the, so they had two shows right after Charlie died. They had one hosted by J.D. Vance, which Tucker Carlson came on, and they had one which Tucker Carlson was on with these, the stooges, the guys there, Andrew Colvin and Blake Neff and some other dude. And, this is a big blow to their credibility.
Claim that, there were kind of a disproportionately large number of foreign registered cell phones at the event. That's also true. So what does that add up to? I don't know, but it means that
It's a stupid idea because you don't need 4 different governments to be involved in one assassination, right? You need a team of assassins, and you need some people compromised who are around Charlie Kirk. You need to really, the most important thing was to compromise Erica Kirk and all the other leadership people who were involved. There had to be people on board who were part of the TPUS gay community that were going to help set this thing up and perpetrate it. Like, that had to be there. And Erica Kirk is the key one, right? If they get Erica and they have a team of assassins, they can execute this thing and then pull it off and, get away with it, right?
The FBI has a moral and legal obligation to look in every direction and to be open-minded, as you would in any investigation, in journalism, in science. It's all the same process. I don't know the answer, and I'm going to sift through everything as open-mindedly as I can, as honestly as I can, to get to what the truth is. That's science, that's law enforcement, that's journalism. It's all the same. That's justice. And I just want to make sure that is happening, and I just don't have a ton of confidence in the FBI or the men who run it. And I'm not saying that out of ignorance at all.
That's a scary part, too.
I'm not alleging anything. I'm just saying
No.
I think it's really important that we have that.
That is what authenticity sounds like, and that's what we're doing.
No, it doesn't. That guy's inauthentic as fuck, right? Because he just said, I don't know very much about it. Why the fuck would... I mean, that's the first piece. You should know a lot about it. You should be covering this. You should have spoken up about this a while ago. Like, if you have doubts about the official story, why aren't you looking into those doubts? You have the capabilities, the whole thing. I don't need to go on. But here's where she gives him cover.
Here we are investigating, right? Sometimes you get something wrong, you correct it, but I was right about the Egyptian planes. And when you hear Tucker Carlson say that he is confirming that that part is true, what I take from that, Tucker Carlson has been very clear. He grew up with CIA agents, okay? This is a guy who grew up in Virginia. His father, he learned after his father died, he thought he was just working with the CIA. No, his father was on the payroll of the CIA. So Tucker's...
Boom. She's giving him cover. Because one of the things that people always bring up is that Tucker Carlson grew up in a CIA family with a CIA father. And that's fucking a huge problem when you're a truther, right? A connection to the CIA. And she's basically explaining that away for him, trying to dismiss it because he's so authentic, and so are you. Fucking. So he gives her the Egyptian planes. She covers his ass on the CIA. This is how it fucking works with these friendships and these, then they'll be stabbing each other in the back when, whatever it is. Because this is how all these people do. This is how the shills do it, right? They support each other until they don't. But later on, he says something else here. Let's see if it's here. Got to find it.
None of us really act alone.
It's hard to go anywhere by yourself.
I'll go like here.
Okay? None of it makes any sense. Anyways, Tucker then goes on and states the obvious predicament further, which is that we just don't have any faith in the government. Take a listen to him discussing some of these lingering questions.
Here's what I am concerned about. A lot of things. One, he acted alone. Tell me how that worked. I don't, none of us really act alone.
It's hard to go anywhere by yourself, too.
Thank you. Exactly. You acted totally alone. Okay. You're going to have to prove that to me? It's totally possible. Anything is possible. Weird things have happened.
Yeah, it's not possible. It's not fucking possible. And when you're looking at these events, right? The guy never met Charlie Kirk. And so you see this narrative come out with the lone gunman, the guy who writes a manifesto. In fact, he joked that he was going to write a manifesto in this Discord thing, right? And so the government, when there's these events, they always go after the Lee Harvey Oswald, like the disgruntled, crazy psycho, but sane enough to pull it off, right? There's always one lone shooter and some guy who's warped in some way, but still competent enough to pull off a high-scale execution. Maybe somebody had ex-military training, sniper capabilities, but now not even that. Just some angry young white dude, right? Usually, some angry, disgruntled white dude that grew up in the suburbs and nobody understood him. They come up with these scenarios. That's who they look for. and you've been trained to think it's that guy. The sheeple have been trained to think that's the scenario. And it's always somebody inside that Judas is the person. You need inside people to carry off one of these, especially a public assassination, right? You need somebody within the security. You need somebody, around the person. You need a Judas, right? Or a bunch of Judases. But this is problematic for Erica Kirk and TPUSK and this whole narrative because it's coming on the same fucking day, right? Tucker Carlson did this interview with Theo Bavon the same day that Erica Kirk's going on her fucking widow tour, her widow book tour. And this is undermining her whole bullshit. Like, it's fucking brutal. Candace Owens is able to present this on the same day. And a video that's going to get 2 million views, and the collective interviews of Erica Kirk is going to get, it got whatever it got on Fox News, whatever rating it got. But that's all old fucking people who gives a shit about, right? Like, nobody cares about old audience. I'm amongst them. I'm 61 years old. I'm like fucking, like, I'm no longer relevant, right? My fucking time has passed me by. Like, I'm just, I'm fucking, just a few years away from sitting on a park bench talking to myself, right? And so, like, this is where, this is not the audience they're going after, which is the youth. But they have their whole story now undermined.
Will continue to, but that's not my default assumption, and it shouldn't be yours. And their default assumption was we acted alone. Really? Why do you think that? What about life suggests that people typically act alone? When was the last time you acted alone in anything? I don't go, right? So A. B, we know that people had foreknowledge of this because they posted about it on X and said Charlie Kirk is going to be killed on this date, and he was.
Is that true?
Yes, it's true.
But were they just guessing? Was it a guessing thing where every day they posted that?
Maybe. Have those people been interviewed? Have they been hauled into FBI HQ and had a long conversation with how they knew that? Like, let's get really specific. Why did you post that? Who have you talked to? Like, if I were doing this investigation, because I spent my whole life doing non-criminal investigations called journalism, like, what do we know is true? How do we find out? Call everybody. Be open-minded. It's like it's the same process. If I was doing this investigation, they would be at the very top of the list. Tell me how this guy who seemed normal became a radical trans furry murderer? It's not enough to tell me,
Okay, so you don't know that much about it, but you're talking about this stuff. Like, why wouldn't you investigate? This should be a topic of your show. You should look into the whole thing, all these things, right? You should do an interview with Candace Owens. You should be, because they're patting each other on the back here, right? They're giving each other cover. But, he's trying to, and he's going to do this. He's going to come out with a statement the next day. He's going to kind of not a little bit walk this back in a way that he's saying he's going to let the authorities handle it, but he's still, doubling down on what he's saying here. But, this is not a good thing for TPUSK because they are, they have no credibility in the official story. Like, this official story is not airtight, which, Candace Owens people and people who are investigating this on their own, all everybody know, but they're not getting the support they need from everybody they need it from. And they needed to get Tucker Carlson, right? Like, Erica Kirk should have called them up and say, can you help me out here? I want to shut down this story. But then, of course, she can't fucking do that, right? So, the reality of the thing is, her saying stop it, All right, let's go to his other thing here. Okay, another one of these things. One of my viewers just sent me this from a person named Trump Talking on TikToks. TikTok potty walks. We are Charlie. You play this. I guess you hit this. Stay open to display. I guess this is a card you can get. This is what it says. Yeah, you guys are a bunch of flamers over there. I agree with you. You guys definitely carry the flame at TPUSK. And this is so just, come on, bro. The eagle and the dove and all that shit. All right. You can't fix this, right? You can't fucking fix this kind of shit. You can't fix, the liberal version of this stuff, right? It can't be fixed. You can't, get that out of your whole collective. Like this is, there's an epidemic of dumbassery out there, dumbfuckistan out there, and you can't remove it from your culture.
In the 3 months since Charlie Kirk was murdered, I've really tried not to comment on the murder investigation in public, and it's not because I don't care, of course. I love Charlie and knew him well since he was a teenager. But I haven't said anything about it. I really tried not to say anything about it. First, because I don't really know anything that everyone else doesn't know.
Yeah, why wouldn't that be? Why the fuck wouldn't that be, right? This is what you would be built for. I just listened to his thing about Israel, and he's comparing Israel as our number one ally and how it could be replaced by Russia or Qatar, and then he compares Qatar to Israel in terms of what Qatar has to offer as opposed to what Israel has to offer, right? And he knows a shit ton about that. So he knew Charlie Kirk. This is someone who's a personal friend, and he knows all these people. He knows all the players involved. He knows all the people. He's Candace Owens, all these people, right? He's going to say how much he loves all these people. And, this is like the beginning of this video where I do the voiceover. And I talk about how with the internet and everything at our disposal for information, for, videotape, everything on our phones and, all the things that we have to stop something like this from being perpetrated. This is, in many ways, worse than the JFK cover-up because it's right there in front of everybody's fucking face. You have a jaded public. You have, all these people who no longer trust the government or the news media, and they still ended up doing this, and they're going to get away with it, just like everything else. And they means God knows what even they is, right? Because, that's, debatable, but it's the same thing, right? And maybe the same foreign governments and everything are involved. I mean, they could be, not just American politicians and government and Secret Service and, Mossad and Israel, all these things, but whatever it is, right? The people who control the system, they are not being stopped. And, there's no leverage. There's less leverage now than there was in the 60s. They care less about public opinion. There's more division. And so why are you even trying, bro? Why is anybody trying to fix this system? Like, why are you even pretending? Like, so then you have to come up with another idea how this can be, what can we do? If God has given us the ability to do things and manifest those things and change things, we have work to do, divine work to do. There must be a way out of this system in some way, right? There must be some solution, right? There has to be a solution. And I know what the solution is. It's finding divinity within you. It's having an internal relationship with God. And there's no politics. There's no left or right. There's no race. There's no sex. There's no anything. It's you and your soul. There's none of the things, belief system. There's no anything. All the things that people argue about, all the things that, look at that group over there. There's no us and them. There's just you and the divinity within you and fulfilling your soul's path and your soul's purpose. Right? And when people get to that, even just a little bit, the country would be transformed. And people are unwilling to do that. Like all these people claim to be religious, all these people, religious prejudice, well, whatever it is, all these people, we can do it, anybody can do it. An atheist can do it, a religious person can do it, but you have to leave your bullshit behind, right? And you have to, your ego has to sign off on it, and almost nobody's egos will. People don't want to change. They're scared of I always say, everyone has a demon and a saint inside of them, but people are scared of the demon, but they're terrified of the potential saint. They're scared of becoming the demon, but they're even more scared of becoming the saint. And so, anyways.
I've asked around, but of course, how do you know what the truth is? But the other reason I haven't said anything is because I know personally a number of the people involved in what's now become a very large story. I know them really well. And I really think a lot of all of them on every side. Candace Owens, I've known a long time. I love Candace Owens. Blake Neff at TPUSA once worked for me at a couple of different places, and I love Blake Neff.
How much do you love Blake Neff? Do you love him a lot? Blake is the angry young twink over there, the MAGA twink.
Erica Kirk, I've known since she was dating Charlie Kirk, and I love Erica Kirk, and I think these are all really, really decent people.
See, this is the thing. Like this, you know, and there's no such thing as friendships when you're working for God. You know, there's nothing like friendships and these things. You know, you can be loyal to people, but you have to be loyal to God first. And being loyal to somebody is doing whatever it takes to help them become, you know, whatever they're supposed to become, right? Get right with God. That's like true loyalty, right? So, but this idea that you won't comment because there's a division in the Republican MAGA movement, you know, you have to pick a fucking side. Doesn't matter. Like, you know, you definitely are on Candace Owens' side. Again, you know, they're both CIA shills. I mean, it's all fucking fake. But, you know, in terms of the show, in terms of this, whatever's going on here, you're on that side, right? You're on the anti-Israeli, don't trust the government. There's more to this story than we're being told. You're on that side. And that's, you know, we've already said that, right? When you were on Turning Point US Gay, when you were on the show, you were saying that, right? When they were already pushing for to accept this official story. And so, you know, it doesn't matter whether you like these people or you love these people or whatever it is. Your job is to your audience. Your job is to say what you believe to your audience about something that's much more important than all this other bullshit you're talking about right now. Because, you know, especially now it's coming to a head.
And so it's been my desire for 3 months not to get involved in any of this. And in general, to think to myself, anybody who is earnestly searching for the truth, whether they're right or wrong, but as long as they're motivated.
Okay, so the people at TPUS Gay are not searching for the truth. They clearly are not. They're trying to shut down any other narrative, right? So the people who are calling bullshit on the official story. So right now, what's going to happen is the official story is going to be accepted. They're going to convict this guy, probably kill him. They're going to railroad this guy, and it's going to be done. And they're going to say, this is over. Just like, you know, the stuff with JFK and all the other bullshit that's happened. We know they're going to push this fucking bullshit story through. They're going to make it a fact. You know, when they say Charlie Kirk's murder, you know, it isn't something where when Erica Kirk says it now, that guy could sue her for slander, but he's not because he's a fucking shill and a puppet. Might not even be his real name or real person, just an actor. But whatever. You know, when they say after he's been convicted, it'll be a fact. It'll be a fact that this guy is Charlie Kirk's killer. Whether it's true or not doesn't mean shit. So unless you do something now, and even if whatever you do, it's not going to make a difference, to stop that. And they're doing nothing to stop it, the TPUS Gay people, right? So this guy's just full of shit, right? Because this isn't about two different groups of people looking for the truth. They're not searching for the truth. They've already decided that the official story is the real story, and the rest of us don't buy it. And you know, fuck us, because what leverage do we have, right?
By a desire to find out what happened and therefore honor Charlie's memory by getting to justice. Anyone who's doing that, I'm not going to criticize. Again, no matter what track they're on, lots of us, and this has certainly happened to me, have good moments, but good motives, but wind up in the wrong place. But it's a sincere mistake. So that definitely happens. I have done that, and so I've just wanted to stay out. And then the other day, I had like a 3-hour conversation with Theo Vaughn, and it was not about Charlie Kirk or anything related to it, but that topic came up. And I said, in effect, you know, I don't trust the FBI. And that gave some people the impression that I was, you know, accusing them of being involved in Charlie's assassination. And of course I wasn't. And I certainly didn't mean to. But it gives me the chance now to say what I think, which is that we should not necessarily trust the FBI. And by the way, why would we? It's not an attack on, you know,
this is just, it's kind of lame what he's doing, you know, like just in general. I mean, take a fucking swing, you know, go up there and take 3 fucking swings at the pitches. Like this fucking, I'm riding the fence bullshit, but whatever.
Political leadership of it. I've known Dan Bongino, for example, for a long time, and like Dan, and don't imagine he would ever be involved in intentionally covering up a murder of somebody. I don't believe that. But Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, for that matter.
Okay, so this is where it's just bullshit, right? So I want to go to the end of it. You know, he the reason I'm covering this is there's nothing about loyalty or liking people or them being your friends that should matter in any of this stuff, right? It shouldn't matter. You know, the truth, your friends should be on the right side of the fucking truth, right? You don't bury them, you don't go after them and like fuck you, I'm going after you, you're my enemy now, right? But you need to tell the truth, and if it's the truth is that they're fucking corrupt, because you saying Dan Bongino or Kash Patel is corrupt isn't going to make them go to jail, isn't going to make them get fired, isn't going to make accountability kick in, right? You're just voicing your limp dick opinion like the rest of us, an opinion that has no effect on the system itself. You know, an opinion has no effect on or going to change what's going to happen, right? So everyone can just freely say their opinion, and if it just, you don't have to name those guys as being piece of shit. But he goes on to say that, well, let me go back to this.
But Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, for that matter, are at the top of the org chart, but this is a huge organization, and parts of it act independently from leadership. That's the nature of bureaucracy. So saying, well, I like Dan Bongino and don't think he would do something wrong on purpose, which is how I feel, doesn't mean that I trust the FBI or have to trust the FBI. And again,
no one gives a shit how you feel about these people. Like, some people are more likable than others, but if the FBI is compromised, this goes all the way up to Trump, right? You know, if you think these organizations would independently murder or cover up Charlie Kirk's assassination, and Trump and his people would not have their fucking hands on it and their hands dirty, is bullshit, right? Like, they would somehow not, the whole thing would, the deep state would operate under, like, if the deep state, and I don't believe in the deep state, fucking bullshit deep state, like it's this retarded, QAnon, Q-tards thing, the deep state, this whole thing. It's all a deep state. But if the deep state whacked Charlie Kirk and then set up this guy, and Trump's FBI and all these people let it happen, and they somehow got duped, then they should be all fucking thrown out. His job is to clean up the swamp. You don't have a fucking public execution happen under your fucking nose, right? All these people involved. Kash Patel flew out there. All these people are involved in this thing. And you guys just let it happen, and they push through some bullshit story, and you're not fucking compromised. You're not fucking owned by somebody, by the people that perpetrated this thing, or you'd have to be in on it. God, get the fuck out of here. Erica Kirk, this thing didn't happen. If the official story isn't true, then Erica Kirk is involved. She has to be. Like I said, victim consciousness is what they're going for here, and you can't have the fucking person who's the most victimized coming out and say the official story is bullshit, right? Like, then you have to destroy her character and go after her because, that's all you can do. And that's a shit fight you don't want to have. So this all, like, just, it's silly. These are silly little people that know the truth, and they tell these fucking horrific lies to their audience. Of course, the FBI, if the FBI is involved, Dan Bongino and Kash Patel are a part of it. Just fucking stupid.
Are potentially letting our largest federal law enforcement agency off the hook. It is the job of the FBI to find out what happened and to tell the rest of us, not hide behind, well, it's national security, confidential sources. No, tell us what happened. Show us what happened. Convince us.
Yeah, okay, so that's not going to happen. But, his punting this thing, again, he's a piece of shit, whatever. But punting it because all his friends are involved. Well, I'm not going to comment on this, and I don't really know that much about it because all my friends are involved. Jesus fucking Christ. Then what value do you have? This is your literal fucking job. You're a MAGA person, and something happened to somebody that you call a friend, somebody you know since a teenager. The guy looked up to you. You're a hero. You're intimately involved with all these people who are a part of this thing. And, if his wife whacked him, you don't want to get to the bottom of that. If people at TPUS Gay, if Blake Deff was involved, or these other people, if, any of these people, if Trump, you're saying that if JFK was killed and you were there at the time, you would have been like, oh, you know, a lot of people involved. I'm not going to comment. I mean, this is like, that. Like, it's, if somebody kills somebody, if Trump was actually assassinated, like, you were going to be like, oh, I'm not going to look into it. I'm just going to accept the official story. It's not my job. I got too many friends involved. What the fuck are you talking about, right? Like, it's just, it's going back to what I said at the beginning of this video. I want to do that voiceover here. You know what? I'll replay that voiceover at the end because it's, it's specific to this thing. And then I'll sign out after that. Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. So, I am about to do the last clip. The Tucker Carlson put out a statement where he confirms he doesn't trust the FBI, sort of walks back some of the things he said on Theo Vaughn. And, he was talking about, on Theo Vaughn, about how, he doesn't know very much about this story, and why the fuck wouldn't he know what's going on with Charlie Kirk, his supposed friend? Like, why wouldn't he investigate that? Why wouldn't he do multiple shows on that, like Candace Owens is doing, right? Well, that's all silly. My wife just texted me and said, finally is misspelled. That just came in. On my last video. So what I was going to do is I was going to put this voiceover before that. It was going to be the last clip, I think the last clip of this video, as I see it now. I get into the Erica Kirk interview where she slams conspiracy theorists and she gets all self-righteous and she plays her widow and her children's victim card thing that she did, right? But what I want to say here is essential to the general point of this channel. There's the spiritual point where only spirituality can save this world, which means the divinity within you and everybody connecting to that divinity can only change people. I mean, it's the only thing that can change people, because people don't want to change. I've been in the change business for years, and I, don't count on people changing. People might change their behaviors, but don't change who they are. They'll change they'll adapt and change their behaviors because they're being forced to, based in circumstances, but they won't change who they are and why they do the things they do. They'll just repress them, or they'll just stop them for a little bit and then go back to their compulsive behavior, right? And so changing human beings is the hardest thing. And I mean, changing yourself. Like, you can't change other people, but changing yourself, right? And that the system can't be saved or changed because people suck. Like, the people suck, and, all of us, and we're all creating the system. And you can't change the system unless people are willing to change themselves, and they're not willing to do that. So that's my central point, and I'm fucking right as you could be about all that stuff, right? But these other people all pretend that you can change the system. And so this thing with Tucker Carlson at the end, and then everybody who's involved with this, who believes that there is a way to take on the deep state and all this bullshit that people believe, think about this. So you had JFK was assassinated in Texas, and the majority of Americans trusted the news. They trusted Walter Cronkite. They believed the moon landing was real. They were hypnotized by TV, and they believed in the official story. And the Democrats and the Republicans weren't that far off. I mean, this was the radical 60s and these things. And there was the hippie movement that didn't trust things. The hippie movement was, some of the original truthers came out of the hippie movement. But for the most part, people trusted the official story. And people didn't buy into the JFK assassination, right? But since that time, there's been all these different media growths, the cable news network, and then ultimately the internet and YouTubes and all these other things, all these other places where people are able to verbalize their opinions. And these doubts in the government have gone across the internet, not just to disgruntled people, not to radical right-wing, or radical left-wing people, but pretty much everybody has doubts in the official story. A few years back, 10 years ago, it was 60% of people doubted the official story of JFK assassination. 60%, right? And so on top of that, everybody's got a video camera that they carry around with them. And Google and these search engines and so much information, so much data out there. And so many watchful, suspicious eyes that are out there, right? And with that, they did the exact same thing with Charlie Kirk saying it's a lone crazy gunman. The official story doesn't make sense whatsoever. And the majority of his followers and many people don't believe it. And yet they're going to get away with it. And so that shows you the system has not fucking changed. And so there are people who want to move on from this story, the Charlie Kirk thing. You know, I have viewers who are like, why are you still covering this? Because people have lost interest in it. But it's the number one story of 2025 because it involves Trump. It means Trump is compromised. It means Trump's government and his people at the FBI and Kash Patel and these other people are, who, you know, Tucker Carlson's going to say those guys are great. You know, like that piece of shit. You know, involves the alternative media, because that's what Charlie Kirk was. It involves religion. It involves Israel in a big way. All these powerful players involves foreign governments and Charlie Kirk's whole, you know, whatever thing he was doing. It involves pretty much everything that the 2025, the things that stood out in 2025 culminated in Charlie Kirk's assassination. And with all these people watching it and all these people who are suspicious of the government and all the available tools at their disposal, they're still fucking going to get away with this bullshit story. Whatever the real story is, you're never going to know what it is. At the same time, Jeffrey Epstein, the majority of people, now the Democrats are all about Jeffrey Epstein. And the Republicans have been all about Jeffrey Epstein since, you know, the beginning. The only person who's not is Trump. And he shut that shit down, right? And so the truth never fucking comes out and there's no accountability. And I knew this fucking many, many years ago. And I knew that there was only one way to change this is people connected to divinity within them. And not that I give a shit about being right. I mean, I used to care about, who cares, right? Like, who cares if I'm right and everyone else is wrong, right? What difference does that make? Like, what do I get, a fucking badge of honor, right? How does that make my life any better, right? Like, you know, I used to care about it. Now I don't, because, like, in the sense of being right, it's not important. But in the sense of being right, you know, in terms of people who are listening to information out there, it's important. And, you know, the truth is available to people, even if they don't want to hear it. And the simple truth is that we have to change. Because even with all the tools at our disposal, nothing has changed, right? Since the Kennedy assassination, where most people bought the official story and there was no reference point for most people to doubt the official story. And now that has completely blown up, and still, they're still doing the same shit. Just like when Trump did this fake assassination attempt with the Ketchup Gate, which is so obviously fake, and he's getting away with that. And no one's even questioning that. No one in the official story. None of these so-called truth tellers, right? And all these people are saying, yeah, we can fix the system. Fuck you, right? Like, your system's getting worse. And there's less and less accountability and less truth, even though there's so many people out there claiming to tell the truth, out there giving their independent opinion. There's just more and more bullshit and less truth and less accountability. We're going in the wrong fucking direction, right? And everyone should be aware of it. So with that in mind, let's get into it here. All right, so I just felt like, you know, if you listen to that twice, that's on you. But anyways, let's wrap this one up here. The Many Faces of Erica. Only spirituality will save this world. It's paramount, definitely important for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.